Tape Deck Media.
I'm Chris Chapman.
And I'm Aaron Fresquez.
I'm Joseph Beck Castro.
Cool. And together, we produce a comedy podcast about the films of Arnold Schwarzenegger called See You at the Potty, Richter.
See you at the party, Richter. Like that. You need to say it with accent.
Yeah, come on. Don't you know accents?
That's not Arnold Schwarzenegger accent. This is a Schwarzenegger accent.
It's an accent, sure. Anyway, listen each month as we take you through Arnold's career, one movie at a time. For each movie, we'll explain the plot, discover some fascinating trivia about its production and promotion, and rate the film on its quintessential Arnoldness.
That's what we do. That's what we do.
That is Joe's accent is a lot better than my accent.
We know you have a lot of choices in the comedy deep dive into the filmography of the world's most charismatic bodybuilder genre of podcasts, but please consider giving us a shot.
Come on, do it now. Do it. Subscribe.
Ruddle me this, ruddle me that. We got the riddles that'll make you chat. Oh yeah, baseline stuff been through this tight. Get your funk on, we're rocking tonight. One more time.
Good morning, Ruddlers. Happy Thursday. Welcome back to your second episode. I've got so many episodes in the backlog to release. I'm going to be doing 2 a week every couple of weeks until I sort of catch up. Just looking at my calendar now, I have got episodes until the 17th of February recorded and just need to be edited and uploaded. So plenty of content to come for you this year. This episode was a little bit of an avant-garde podcast. It is with my friend Vasu Premkumar, and if you've been following me for many years, you'll know that Vasu and I were very good friends when he was living in Christchurch. We used to do all sorts of gigs together, and mostly the Kensington Funhouse, but we did a sort of double-header show that we called the Cultural Exchange. Comedy exchange. It was something along those lines. And it would always end with us doing a bunch of roasts, but instead of, what I liked about it, instead of roasting each other, we kind of roasted us together as a pair. So when we stood together, so like for example, Vasu is racially Indian, I'm a big fat white man, we used to say that we looked like Indian Jones and the boulder chasing after him, that kind of thing. I cannot remember the rest of them, but we had some good ones in there, and I liked that it was sort of we're both, we weren't roasting each other, we were like sort of the butt of the joke, and I thought it was a fun way to end the show. But yes, so, gosh, when did we record this? I'm not entirely sure. It was sometime around Christmas. Vasu was visiting family, I think, in Christchurch, and we hung out for a couple of days. He ended up coming with me to pick up a shelf from Facebook Marketplace. I didn't realize how small the shelf was until I picked it up. I thought we would need 2 of us to carry it. So what ended up happening is we get to the house and I told Vasu to wait in the car because I didn't want to, potentially scare the young woman by having 2 dudes randomly show up at her house. And then it was just the funniest look ever for her to bring the thing out. And I'm like, oh yeah, I brought my friend with me because I thought we might need help carrying it to the car. And she was easily able to lift this on her own. And so I called him out of the car, walked out, I was like, oh no, it'll be fine. So he just went and got back in the car. So he essentially was my emotional support friend for that little trip to grab the bookcase, which is now proudly sitting in my room and displaying several Funko Pops that I've been given for Christmas over the years. But anyway, the subject of today's episode is Vasu wanted to do a sort of quick guerrilla podcast, which we recorded. We had something on the evening, maybe had a gig or something. So we had to do this pretty quick. We recorded it in my office. And I believe we were interrupted at the end because I had to move my car because my flatmate had some friends over. So there's a really abrupt ending. But yeah, we wanted to talk about why the anime One Piece was special to Vasu. I think it's his favourite one at the moment. So yeah, we got into that and chatted about it. I like One Piece. I'm not as like emotionally invested in it, but I do like it. And so yeah, that's what we talked about on this episode. Once again, a couple of quick plugs. Tomorrow night, the 24th of January and the 25th of January 2025, David Correos and I are at Space Academy at 6 o'clock on Friday, and then 6 o'clock and 8:30 on Saturday. He is doing some warm-up shows for his new tour called Noise Zealand. He's doing a sort of combination of techno and comedy, and I'm doing 30 minutes of new material that will eventually become my next show. Working title at the moment is Bruiser. So you can get along to candocomedy.com/tix to get your tickets for those. We'd love to see you along for the silliness. I think David said he wants to bring a lot of silliness to the DJ sort of genre. Alrighty, so enough of that. Let's get Vasu onto the show. Ladies and gentlemen, Ruddle Maniacs of all ages, please welcome to the show the Cowboy Kid comic, Vasu Premkumar. Vasu Premkumar, welcome to the podcast.
Hello.
So, you're down in Christchurch, and we figured while you were here, we might as well do a little bit of a pod. This is the first time I think we've been on camera, on in the Ruddleverse. The first time we've been doing something together. But we've known each other for a long time. Used to gig a lot at the old Kensington Funhouse back in the day, the Kenzo. You are living up in Auckland at the moment, but visiting down to see some friends. How's everything going for you?
Yeah, it's good. I just came down. The podcast was a surprise.
It's very spontaneous.
Yeah, it's good though. So it's good being in Christchurch again. I was like, it hasn't changed, but it has changed. But I love the weather, but it is what it is.
Beautiful. So we're going to we decided we'd talk about One Piece today. I think it might be a general sort of anime conversation, because you seemed kind of surprised to learn that I watched Naruto. Were you also a watcher?
Oh yeah, massive. I was like since the start, but no, I thought you were So you're a One Piece fan, and then
I do like One Piece. It's not my favorite, but it's
right.
I like it enough to like watch. I keep up with what's happening in it.
Yeah.
But the thing with me is like, it might just be my age or something, but like, because I didn't really grow up with One Piece. I used to watch it a little bit on Cartoon Network, but it was I was not at the age where I was forming like emotional attachments to the characters. Like, I'm not really invested in any of the Straw Hats or anything. So like, I like them and I think it's cool. I like watching the fights, but I don't have a character I'm like, yeah, he's like me. Like Naruto, I really related to, because like, everyone feels like they're a useless ninja when
a child,
just
a lonely kid, and she's like, all right, everyone's against me. Yeah,
exactly. So like, I haven't latched onto any of the Straw Hats. Like the Straw Hats to me are kind of like nice cousins that I'm like, yeah, I like these guys. They're I hope they achieve their goals, but I'm also like not crazy invested in them. Like, is it how it is for you, or do you have like your faves?
Oh, I related to Usopp. Because I just related to him from the get-go. I was like, this is just talks mad shit, and then
like
he lies a lot. Yeah. I mean, I don't lie, but still, he lies a shit ton. But then there's like a theory that everything he lies about comes true.
Right, okay.
So it's like, all right, that's pretty cool. But I like the fact that he was like, his whole thing, it's like everyone's like all these, it's just, they got real specific goals. Like, what's it? Sanji's got the one about going to the
let's just pause.
Okay.
We'll put a pin in that for 1 second.
Right.
But this is going to be a deep cut anime episode. We're in my office right now. We're not on the usual sofa, so the acoustics might be a little different. I apologize for that. But we figured let's do a kind of sort of not a beginner's guide to One Piece, but like we're going to talk about it and then also kind of talk about why we like it. But we are going to try and make it as user friendly for people that don't know the series. So like. Best thing I can recommend if you're interested in One Piece is go watch the Netflix adaptation, because it's like 7 episodes and you'll really quickly get a feel for like who all the characters are and like what the world is. And then if you liked that and you feel like you need more, like I have a friend, she watched the Netflix one and then was like, I don't want to stop, I need to keep going. So then she moved on to the anime and is just watching from there. So you want to take us through all the Straw Hats. So Luffy is called Straw Hat Luffy in That's just like a nickname, right? And
Yeah.
what do they call him? Mugiwara in Japanese.
Yes,
Straw Hat is what I think.
Yeah.
Mugiwara.
Straw Hat Luffy.
And so his crew are called the Straw Hats.
Yeah.
You want to take us through all the Straw Hats and what their like dream is, and then maybe like a little bit about how they fight and what their powers are.
See, I don't know about everyone. I mean, I know the main few stream, like Luffy, Pirate King, and the Zoro, the best swordsman. And then Sanji, his one's weird because he just wants to he wants to go to that special sea.
The All Blue is what.
Yeah, the All Blue. He wants fish from the All Blue, which is like a specific sea, which is just like it's a restricted area that he wants to go to, and then it's just like, all right, that's fine.
Because the world of One Piece is divided, and it's a very like there's a lot of classism and racism, and not like pro racism. They're just But the ocean is divided into like 4 oceans. There's east, north, west, and south. And like, what is the divider? The horizontal divider is a really vicious part of it. It's like riptides and that kind of thing, stopping you from getting from like one ocean to the other.
I think it's called a calm belt or something like that.
Yeah, and then dividing the planet vertically is like they call it the red line, right? Which is a big mountainous range which you can't really cross. So there's these 4 quadrants.
Yep.
And what is the Grand Line? Is that the thing that goes around the middle of the world of One Piece?
I think so. So I was never good with the geography side of One Piece because they couldn't explain it like well at all.
Yeah.
Because I know it's split into 4 different seas, like east, west, blue, and east, west, south, and north.
Yeah.
And then that was split by 2 different lines. The red line being the vertical one.
Yeah.
Which is the mountains region, but. Yeah, I'm not sure which the Grand Line is. I thought that was possibly the horizontal one.
Yeah, I think you're right. And then the Grand Line is kind of like the average person can't really survive going into the Grand Line. It's full of these islands where you have to be like really strong to survive.
Yeah.
And I think it's also very hard to actually get into the Grand Line. You have to go to like a really specific point in the map to get into the Grand Line. You almost go down like a waterfall or something, don't you?
Yeah, there's a section where it's like to pass it, you had to go up and down a waterfall.
Yeah.
The world of One Piece is very strange, but if you're into it, you're into it. And
I'll tell you what as well. If you are someone that watches spaghetti westerns, you will fucking love One Piece because spaghetti westerns. I only learned this recently, but spaghetti westerns like Good, the Bad, and the Ugly, and those kind of Sergio Corbucci and Sergio Leone films. So. Italy after World War II had who was the Italian? Was it Mussolini?
Yeah.
So he was the dictator of Italy. All the films that came out of Italy in post 1945, the storyline was like, here's a little town that's being oppressed by this one guy who's like a dictator, and he has his gang of ruffians, and then like a mysterious stranger comes to town, kills and outsmarts the dictator, and then moves on, and then the town is peaceful again. So like, that's the classic spaghetti western story. And that's basically every single arc of One Piece. It's like they go to a new island, they find out who the bad guy is, they punch the bad guy until bad guy's unconscious, and then they ride off into the sunset onto the next island. Because I think in order to find the reason it's called One Piece is there is a treasure called One Piece, which you have to go through every single island in the Grand Line to reach, right? Yeah. So if you like spaghetti westerns, you'll like One Piece as well, is what I reckon.
It's a very niche audience who likes spaghetti westerns. Like, all right, and anime. It's like, do you know what I mean? It's like it's hard. It's a hard crossover between like watching the real life movies and be like, all right, let me watch this drawn thing. And it's like, all right, but you'll like it. It's great. The world of One Piece is insane, but the dreams are the interesting thing as well, because it's just like it gets pretty wacky. Eventually, with the devil fruits and such.
That's another cool thing about it. Yeah, so the devil fruit. What are they? Explain them to the people.
So it's just fruit. There's a lot of theories behind it.
I think the dub they used to call them cursed fruit or something, but the actual translation is devil fruits.
Yes. Yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, so it's in the name kind of thing. It's like there's a lot of theories behind it, but it is like it comes from possibly. The devil in One Piece, but I'm not sure. I don't know too much about that in itself. But the thing, like, it comes from the sea, but then if you eat it, the big thing is that you're cursed and you can never go back into the sea, so you start drowning immediately if you ever eat that thing.
And it's not even. It's like a like you sink like an anchor,
Yes.
right? Yeah, it's not like a. Even if you can swim, you land in salt water and then you just. It's almost like gravity or something, right? You're just being sunk to the bottom, right?
Sunk, you lose energy. You can't fight back against it. It's the interesting curse, especially if you're a pirate. You know, like if everything around it
is water.
Yeah, it is probably one of the worst curses to have as a pirate.
But they also give you powers and abilities, don't they?
Yeah, they give insane amount of powers and abilities. I think there's going to be similar to other shows. There's going to be rip-offs of One Piece afterwards, for sure, and it's going to be like playing into the idea of that what other powers could be. I don't know what you call it, but yeah. So there's plenty of powers like fire person and being a man made out of magma and things like that. And
the main guy's rubber. His body turns into rubber, or his body is made out of rubber, is how it's described, right?
I think.
Because other characters can stretch him when he's not wanting them to, right? Like, if characters pull, like the thing with Luffy is when he falls into the water.
Yeah.
I think Sanji or someone holds onto his head and it keeps him breathing. His body sinks to the bottom, but his neck stretches and he can still breathe. So like, he is made out of rubber, I guess. So is the thing,
yeah. I mean, the technical terms in One Piece is quite confusing as well. Like Rubber Man,
the 3 different types of fruits.
Yes,
they're all categorized and stuff. Yeah,
and I know like everyone goes on about the author being like very technically proficient and like forward thinking and
he's so good at foreshadowing.
Yeah, foreshadowing is next level.
For those not aware, One Piece has been going for 25 years, 30 years, something like that, right?
Yeah,
and what's crazy is like. Certain characters, like, so the One Piece in the story was left by Gold Roger, who was the king of the pirates, which I think later on, he didn't make One Piece, did he? Someone else made One Piece, but One Piece is kind of the thing where if you find the One Piece, you are the king of the pirates.
Yeah.
It's like a ceremonial kind of thing, right? And so before he was executed, this is not a spoiler because it's literally the first thing you see. Before he was executed, he told people, if you want the One Piece, this is another thing, is that the translation from him going from Japanese to English, and then like One Piece has been dubbed by 2 or 3 different companies. So like weird bits of translation are sort of left over in our minds. Like I remember, the 4Kids dub of One Piece, Gold Roger used to say, I left everything I own in one piece. You'll have to sail the whole world to find it or something. But then later on we found out, well, no, he didn't actually make the One Piece. It's just a treasure that exists. And so like the final island, which is called Laugh Tale, which is, we all know now it's called Laugh Tale, but because of the weird translation from English to Japanese, for years people thought it was Raftel, Reftel, and no one knew what the hell that meant, why it was called Raftel. But then, because of the way Japanese would pronounce Laugh Tale, it's Rafteru or something, and so that turns into Raftel in English. And so there's just all this weird lore of like stuff that we used to think about One Piece because of the early dubs, and because it's been around for that fucking long. It's been like we were in middle school or something when it came out. I was been in like 11 or 12 or something when it came out.
Well,
came out here as well, so it's been around even longer in Japan. Yeah,
I mean, I only found out about this in. So I started watching maybe 10 years ago.
Yeah.
But then obviously it's been out for significantly longer, and I've been I'm up with it since. Well, I'm up to the latest episode and everything.
Did you watch right from the start, or did you catch it? Like,
No, I didn't catch it. Sorry, I didn't watch it from the start. I just found out 10 years ago, but like I caught up in that interim.
Yeah.
So it just completely blew up.
Do you remember the first thing you saw of One Piece?
Oh, the first episode. Yeah.
Oh, you watched the first episode, right?
Yeah, okay. From the very get-go, I figured that out.
Yeah. Do you know my experience with it was like, there was this 4Kids TV, they dubbed it, and I don't think they do it so much anymore, but anime back in the 90s, they used to try to make it kid friendly when it shouldn't really have been. It should have been more for like an age of like 13 to 14, but they were trying to sterilize it and make it fit for like 6-year-olds or something. I don't know exactly how old they were aiming for, because like,
Yeah.
you know, the character Sanji, he's always smoking on a cigarette in Japanese. They changed that to a lollipop in the 4Kids dub, and like, what else did they change? There was a character called, what is he, Don Krieg? Is he that golden armor guy that Luffy fights at one point? And there was a bit where he shoots spikes out of his cape, and they were like stabbing Luffy in the Japanese version.
Yeah.
They literally changed those to like suckers, you know, like plunger arrow, like the sort of thing you'd shoot when you're a little kid. And so there's this big dramatic scene where Luffy's like dropping a speech, and he's pulling them out of himself and throwing them on the deck, and like you just hear this like, you know, I can't do the sound, but the popping sound as he's like pulling them off his, and it's like, what is the fuck are they doing with this? They kidified it so much. But yeah, that really put me off in the beginning as well. I thought, this is so dumb.
Well, I think in the start, the version I watched, where it was, it didn't have the poppers and everything, but it did have like the blood and stuff.
Yeah.
It was white, like they whited out the blood, and I was like, I couldn't figure it out because it looks very strange as well.
Yeah. It looks like sweat or something, right?
Yeah, it just looks weird and it's hard to make sense of it all if there's like if there's just a blank piece in the panel, and then and or even animated, like just watching it and there's just pieces of white where the blood should be. It's like, all right.
Yeah.
But what was I saying? Sorry, the dream of Usopp.
The dreams of the characters.
So the reason I like Usopp's one is just because I think his one's like just to be like a brave person.
Yeah, that's
and it's just like, it's the most realistic dream that anyone could have. Like everyone else is pretty. It's the most relatable dream, but I think he's the only person is one of the few who gets the most hate from the audiences.
Does he?
Well, yeah, I think compared
People
to
don't
like
Usopp?
yeah, like from the general consensus, I think it's him and Frankie. I think they're the least liked members.
Yeah.
And
so just
One Piece.
I'll just quickly go through the Straw Hats so that people kind of know what we're talking about. So Luffy, Monkey D. Luffy is the main character. He's the one you've probably seen. He wears the straw hat at Mugiwara. Roronoa Zoro is like the first mate. He is basically like a samurai. He was like a pirate bounty hunter or something initially, and he joined their crew. Sanji wears the black suit and has the blonde hair. He's the chef. There is Chopper, which is the little reindeer. I think Chopper's probably my favorite out of the main ones. He is the doctor, I think, right?
Yeah.
Somehow
Yeah.
he's a doctor. Robin, she is the I'm trying to think. She looks a bit like Eva Green. She's got like long black hair, and her power is she can duplicate her limbs, I think, right?
Yeah.
That's what her power is. What is she? She's like the archaeologist of the crew, I think.
Cartographer.
Cartographer.
Yeah.
No, that's Nami. That's Maps you're thinking of.
Is it?
Yeah, Nami's the red-haired lady, and
yeah.
she's the cartographer. She makes all the maps, navigator cartographer or whatever.
Yeah.
Frankie is a big cyborg robot.
Yeah.
He's definitely the weirdest looking out of all of them.
Yeah.
Brooke is a skeleton, like a literal skeleton who wears like a suit, and he has like a big afro on his skull, and he's like their musician, I think, right?
Yeah. Musician.
Jinbei is a big fish man. They're like, the racism comes into it where there's like humans and fish people, and that's like, I think were fishmen slaves or something at one point.
Slaves. Yeah.
So, is that all the members of the gang?
And then Usopp.
Oh, and then Usopp. Yeah. So
Yeah.
Usopp is like what is it? He's about the same age as Luffy. He's like 19 or something.
Yeah.
And so Usopp's father was on the crew of the Pirate King, Gold Roger, right? And his father's actually like a brave warrior of the seas, right?
I think so. Yasop.
Yasop,
He's
that's
part
what it's
of
called.
Shanks' crew, isn't he? Or is he also part of?
Sorry, Luffy's mentor is called Shanks, and then Usopp's father is from that crew. Because like Luffy knew who Usopp was when he saw him, right? They met on that beach, and he was like, "Oh, I've heard a lot of stories about you. You must be Yasop's boy."
Oh man, that's
a long time ago.
It's a long time ago.
Yeah.
I haven't watched that since. So
But Luffy knew.
Yeah.
He'd at least heard stories of him. Yeah.
But so I mean, the dreams of each were like it's super cool to get into, but his one's probably the most realistic.
Yeah.
And I think I'm surprised he gets that much hate about it. It's just like it's not like
here's
tough
the thing.
to be brave.
So here's the thing: is like most people in their head probably think, I'm Zoro. If I was going to be at One Piece, I'm Zoro. I'd be Luffy. It's like most people are Usopp. You know what I mean? And so I think Usopp reflects how most people actually are versus like how they see themselves.
Yeah.
And I think most people would think, yeah, no, if I was in that situation, I would be like rebelling against the government as well and whatever. But like actually most people probably wouldn't. So I think that's why it's self-loathing, people going, no, why is he such a coward? Like, why is he such a liar and stuff? But it's the parts of themselves they don't like reflected in Usopp, I think, is why people hate on him.
Yeah, but also the fact that because he, in the end of it, right? Although the big thing, the reason that he gets hate, even from his own crew, sometimes he just runs away. He's cowardly. He really is quite cowardly and runs off. But in the end of the day, he still comes back and does the action. And then I think like people don't like that because they don't do the action; they just do the running away. Yeah, where he comes back and tries again. Yeah. So it's but his is probably. And the thing is, like, he should have achieved it by now. He's one of the few who would have...
Probably could say he's a brave warrior of the seas,
Yeah, and then his dream's achieved, but... so that's why his is probably my favourite in terms of dreams. Dreams is a big theme in One Piece, actually.
Yeah, because the whole thing of One Piece is, like... it's super idealistic and, like I was saying, it's like the spaghetti westerns. Like, a lot of the islands they go to are, like... The average people of the island are suffering under a dictator, and it's almost like kind of incidental that the Straw Hats end up helping them. Do you know what I mean? The Straw Hats don't necessarily go there intending to help, but and so this is what's an interesting theme of One Piece as well, is that like pirates are not inherently evil in One Piece. I think a lot of them are, and a lot of them are a lot rougher around the edges, but one of the things about Luffy is he grew up as a normal kid, but so Shanks, who's his like mentor, Shanks' crew, they must be one of the most powerful crews in all of the series, right? Yeah. And so, where's Luffy from? The East Blue? Is that where he's from?
East Blue, yeah.
East Blue is his ocean. And so, that's like the weakest, I think, ocean. People from there are quite weak. But even though Shanks was the most powerful, him and his crew used to like hang out there, and they would just like be peaceful. And so that was the thing, is like Luffy grew up thinking in his head that pirates were like peaceful and courageous and good-hearted and everything like that. So Luffy's not in piracy for the the plundering and, you know, oppressing other people. He's more about the freedom side of it, I think.
But, well, yeah, I mean, one of the things is that, you know, very early on, they encounter like another pirate crew who is what a stereotypical pirate crew is, like murdering, pillaging. And then he gets to like, that's what Shanks should have been. That's his whole argument. It's like, that's what a real pirate crew is. And then just because of how powerful his mentor's crew is, that he's like, okay, maybe there's another way to being a pirate. Yeah. And then that's where he learns his morals from, I guess.
Was that the scene where like the other crew tipped some alcohol on Shanks or something? Yeah. And even though he could have probably killed them all by just one swing of his sword, would have killed the whole crew. Yeah. He decided he wasn't going to do that, and he was just going to let it, like, he had nothing to prove, so he just went, you just spilled some on me, that's, you know, whatever kind of thing. And so that was when you reckon that was when Luffy was like, his moral compass was kind of formed?
It's pretty big. Like, that's the forming part of it, whereas like, well, not just it was not just formed then, but he was also like taken aback that he knew how strong at that point Shanks could have been in his own mind. Yeah. But he didn't take any action on it. He just laughed it away. Yeah. And he got hurt, or he was just so frustrated with the fact that no action was taken from his behalf. Right. And I think from there, it was like, okay, maybe even though I'm this powerful, I don't need to take that action to completely destroy the other side or whoever the enemy is. Yeah,
because Luffy never kills people, does he? No. He just knocks them out and batters the shit out of them. So one thing that's funny about One Piece is like, this is a long-running tradition of anime, but like, are you familiar with JoJo's Bizarre Adventure?
Briefly.
So like, have you seen any of the fights from JoJo's Bizarre Adventure where he summons that ghost thing called his stand, and the ghost batters just rapid punching is like all the ghost does, and it's saying that aura thing while it's hitting them. Yeah. So that came from another anime called Fist of the North Star, which is like one of the first few like shonen battle animes. Yeah. And so that his finishing move was basically like that, just doing these rapid punches and battering the shit out of them.
Yeah.
So Luffy is kind of the third one
Yes.
throwing back to that original Fist of the North Star. And even Fist of the North Star may have been paying homage to something that came before it. But yeah, so in that sense, One Piece is like really entrenched in manga traditions by the main character's finishing move is just punching them a lot until they stop getting back up again.
Well, yeah. I mean, because I was watching Fist and North Star as well, but in that one there's a lot of murder and blood.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. He'll do things like he'll hit someone,
Yeah.
and it twists their spine around, and then he's like, "You're already dead. You just don't know it yet." And then it takes a minute, but then the guy suddenly falls to the ground, right?
Yeah. And
Yes.
what's that one where he goes like he does the North Star
In
pattern
their
in his
chest.
chest, and it's just the whole upper body explodes, and it's like, all right, that's it's a derivative of. One Piece definitely derived from it, but it's just like
it's a lot less killing and
more appealing.
Yeah, because like I guess Luffy's thing is he doesn't necessarily want to kill people. I think,
No.
but because the arcs of One Piece typically follow like the same structure, where it's like they go to the island, they have a little bit of an adventure with like the locals, then the bad guys introduced, and then. It's a bit like Dragon Ball Z. You know how Goku always seemed to be like incapacitated, or he would be like out of the picture, so that there was peril. Because you know, if Superman, and again, any Justice League movie, they always have to come up with a reason that Superman isn't there or is incapacitated. So it's the same thing where, like I remember in Skypiea, Luffy had that big ball thing on his arm. He got that big golden ball like stuck on his arm, so he couldn't get to where the main fight was happening. And then it's like. The bad guy runs afoul of the Straw Hats, and then usually their crew fights like an equivalent strength, you know, foe of the other crew, and then eventually it ends with Luffy fighting the captain of the other crew, and well, he doesn't always win, but he wins a lot. Yeah.
But one thing I never understood about One Piece is that initially when it started, I'm sure it was designed for the regular anime viewers, which are kids, like generally young adults and teens and kids.
Yeah.
And then it developed such a long-running anime that there's like 30, 40-year-olds watching it still. It's grown with its audience, but I imagine it'd be very hard for the author to appeal to both, because it is still technically an anime, but it has the old-school viewers, which generate most of the income from.
Yeah.
So I don't know how they do it, how they plan it out. It'd be such a tough mission for them.
It's a bit like the Harry Potter books. They did the same thing. I think they start off like the first 3 are quite whimsical and magical, because I think the idea was that the readers of the book would be the same age as Harry in each book, because he starts off when he's 11, then 17 or 18 when he finishes the book. And like I think a lot of people, like I was maybe 8 or 9 when I started reading them as a kid, and then as they come out, you kind of grow up. I think the people that got really into it were roughly the same age as the characters in the book. Yeah, and it must be like that with One Piece, where like they'll probably see it on TV or something, and then they're like tell their parents like I want to watch that, and then maybe it kind of goes back to their, you know, if they're 6 or 7 or 8 or something like that, they can kind of start there, and then they grow up as they watch it, I guess. But yeah, again, I'm not really sure either.
Yeah, no, I couldn't figure it out, because I'm like, as someone who's my age now, I'm like, should I still be watching it, or should I have given up One Piece?
No, never give up One Piece.
Or
I'm not even that into One Piece, and I think I'm definitely going to keep following it. Like, But did you hear the story about Oda going to the family restaurant and seeing how kids responded to the anime?
No.
So he went into they call a family restaurant in Japan. It's a bit like a diner or something. You know, it's like a lot of kids there and stuff. And he's like, the place was noisy as all hell, as you know, kids running around, just chaos. And then at 7 o'clock when One Piece started, he's like, the whole place was quiet, and the kids were just like all staring up at the TV, just watching that. And he was like, in his own mind, he's like, I can't let these guys down. Like I have to keep going. So whenever he's feeling like down, he thinks about like just being able to see what it meant to all these children to watch like Luffy and stuff. And so that's what keeps him going when he's like, because the schedule of a mangaka is insane. They literally go week to week. Like, have you watched this series called Manben?
Unbent.
It's
No.
like this dude, he will spend a week. They'll set up a bunch of cameras in like a mangaka's studio, and they'll film them for like a week working on their issue, and then once they've got all that, they kind of edit it together and get like a bit of a streamlined thing, and then he'll meet with them in like a bar or something, and they'll sit there and watch it, and they'll talk about the mangaka's like process and everything like that, and like so many of them are like they're only just making their deadlines by. If their deadline's like 4:00, they only just get it done at like 3:55 or something, and they literally, if they have like a week to do the next chapter, how many pages? Like 14 pages or something in a manga chapter, I think.
I have no idea.
Yeah, whatever it is, and so the schedule is like. It's not like you get to, if you're a novel author, you get to finish the book, and then you've got 6 months before it comes out, and it can go through your editors and stuff like that. Whereas mangaka, it's literally week to week, and I've heard even like they are ruthless. If your ratings even drop for like 1 week, apparently they start to be like,
right.
This, you better pick it up again. Yeah, so like it's a ruthless schedule, and he's managed to keep that up for like 20-something years every week.
Yeah.
I think the more he goes on, you have like weeks where they have like a break and stuff like that. So maybe the more he goes on, he can kind of throw his weight around a little bit more and be like, it's not going to be the end of the world if he doesn't have a release every week kind of thing.
Do you mean Oda?
Oda, yeah, the author.
He's, when it's at that level, when it's so big that you can't afford to fail. So they're planning months, years in advance.
He probably has it planned, but I would love to see how many chapters he has drawn in advance. You know what I mean?
Right.
Is he, like, I wonder if he's working week to week, or if he has like.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe he does actually. Maybe he's got like 3 or 4, like in the bank that he can just send off. But either way, it's still relentless schedule.
Another 5 years.
You reckon it's going to end?
Yeah, another 5 years and it's gone.
Yeah.
And then. Similar to other sequels companies, it won't be him. I don't think Oda the author would be like the one to create a spin-off. I think he'd be finished.
Oh, I hope he
and
doesn't.
then there'll be businesses and all that trying to be
Imagine
we don't want to lose his brand.
Yeah.
Like, all right, this has good reach, good marketing reach. And it's like, all right, well, let's make a terrible spin-off, and that's what they'll do.
Well,
that's
what I hated about Naruto is that they insisted on doing a sequel. Like, I remember were you reading along with it when it was like so like again, I didn't really enjoy the ending of Naruto. I thought it got a little bit too you look at where Naruto started, it was real grounded, and like they were using like ninja traps and stuff, and then at the end it was like aliens, and they all had like big energy attacks, and it was very like, I was like, oh geez, this is pretty different to what I liked about Naruto. But I remember reading the last chapter and just thinking like, man, imagine how satisfying sending that last one would have been for him to send it to his editors. Yeah. He can put his pen down finally, and then it's like, I think he even said he just wants to spend a bit of time with his wife and his kid or something. But then they fucking went back on that and made the sequel series, Boruto, which like, I've watched a little bit of it, but I didn't like it. No. And it's just like, let your...
Once it's done.
Yeah, exactly. Like One Piece... I mean, and the thing with One Piece, though, is like he's made such a vast world. You could probably tell stories in that world for like infinity to come. But I hope once it's done, because it just feels like cheapening. It's like with Dragon Ball; they keep making new Dragon Ball. Yeah, and like I don't know. I still watch bits of it, but I'm kind of like, I don't want it to turn into what Marvel is now, where it's just like every year there's a new Dragon Ball series.
It's become a business, and it's not.
That's the thing. You're right. It's the franchise of One Piece. Imagine how many jobs would be lost if One Piece just stopped all of a sudden, right? Yeah,
it'll definitely develop and morph into something that people won't like, but it will generate money, which is fine.
I think Star Wars fans are experiencing that right now. They don't seem to be that happy with the franchise at the moment.
But then I think it's like, I don't even know. Oh, sorry, is it time?
No, I'm just checking the levels and stuff. Maybe a little closer with the mic. There you go.
I mean, I don't know if it's too bad. Like, even I know once it gets that much money involved into a franchise, it's like, the art gets taken away from it. The art dies.
Yeah.
But then eventually there comes a point where they have enough money for the art to come back in.
Yeah.
And then,
Yeah.
so I think you see that from certain spin-offs, and like there'll be like 1 or 2 spin-offs in a franchise where it's been declining. It's like, oh, this is suddenly good. That's because people who were into it were involved with the actual, from the get-go, from the very start. Who are,
Do you feel like Dragon Ball GT was the slump, and then now we're kind of back again a little bit?
GT, I didn't even know what GT was.
It seemed like GT was.
Yeah.
They finished it.
Yeah.
And then they went exactly like the machine is too big to suddenly just grind to a halt. So make us. And like, I know Toriyama designed the characters for it, and then like, God, the story of GT was ridiculous. It was like, for some reason, Dragon Ball they're obsessed with making Goku a kid again. Like, he got wished by the Dragon Balls to be a child again.
Yeah.
And then they've just released a new series called Dragon Ball Daima, which was where fucking Goku was a child again in that one. So like, it's that, you know, that meme of the like, we're back, it's over. We're so back. I think it was like Dragon Ball was like good. Z people liked. GT was like, it's over.
Yeah.
Then Super, I think people were like, okay, I like Super, you know, it's pretty good. And now Daima, I think people thought it was going to be, it's over, but actually it seems like it's been really well received. So you could be right in that now they have the money to, like, it can be art again. But yeah, I think GT was definitely the slump of like, they just felt like they had to keep making something.
Yeah.
And it was not good.
Yeah. I mean, it's just the fans who are like, who, I don't know, they suffer, but they definitely feel the brunt of it. I think the OG fans, and then GT got its own separate niche like fan group to do like
people have come around on it a little bit. Like, I think always unequivocally people were like, Super Saiyan 4 is good. We love Super Saiyan 4.
Yeah.
And what I even love about it is now, because the thing that Super is going in, the direction that Super is going in, is like, you've seen the blue-haired Super Saiyans that they do? So like, that is like, if you think about the human as like the mind and the body, right? So like 4 is going like return to monkey. It's, you know, he's covered in hair again.
Yeah.
He's like way bigger and stronger, and it's like raw power.
Yeah.
Then the blue-haired one is like enlightenment, you know? It's like reach flow state, and then that's, their muscles get smaller and they become like leaner, and it's more about like Tai Chi and like turn the enemy's force against them and stuff. So like, I like that. I think that's cool to see like you can go one of two directions with it. Okay. But I don't know what the status of GT is, whether they consider that like canon or whether it's people just kind of go, yeah, that's, we can just forget about GT. Like it's over in its little corner.
I mean, with the whole universe thing, I think they could even go like have another universe where that is a real reality.
So they've done that with Broly. There's two versions of Broly, and so there is like Z Broly, and then there's like Super Broly, and because they're doing multiverse now, like they, it seems like inevitable that a series can only go on for so long before it eventually becomes multiverse. Like we're seeing that with Marvel now, and I don't know. I hope One Piece. I don't think One Piece will never get to that point because it's not space, it's just one planet, right?
Yeah, it was one planet, but it'll be spin-offs on stories. It'll be so One Piece will die, but then the limbs will go off for another 10 years or something like that. It'll be something.
Yeah.
Like, did you see the recent episode where it's like it was all
the normals in One Piece.
Yeah, I watched that. Normals.
It was like what the war at Marineford was like for just the average soldiers who don't have superpowers, and
that one, and also the fact that it's like the episode where it's like a kid, and it's just like the impact of the so it's like as part of an audience member. No, so I mean it's a kid who's writing a letter to the crew. And then but then it's like it's kind of voicing the opinions of the audience in itself. Is like, this is the impact that you've done to my life. I feel like it'll be the same thing moving forward. Where it'll be like a story that resonated with some person. And they'll be like, let's develop on that. And then the company's like, all right, let's do it. And that's what it's going to be.
Yeah, I think you're right there. In terms of like, is there a moment in One Piece that to you is really resonates strongly with you, like emotionally, that you've really like tied yourself onto?
I don't think I don't think I've tied myself onto it.
Well, yeah,
but
sorry, maybe not
there's-
intentionally, but just
yeah.
it gets you in the feels, you know.
Yeah, I mean, I like the idea that what is it? You know, oh, dude, the whole thing is. I mean, there's so many great
Yeah.
moments in One Piece. Like,
Yeah, there is.
Um,
There's a lot of great moments. Like
like-
Shanks arriving at Marineford when.
that was
So there's a big fight going on between, just for the person that hasn't seen this, big fight going on between the Marines and the pirates, and it's really getting bloody.
Yeah.
And Shanks, who we talked about before, him and his crew turn up, and it's like they're that powerful that to everyone else, them turning up is like, oh shit, these guys are here. Yeah, so, and then Shanks says something real. He's like, if you want to keep fighting, then you got to fight us. And
Yeah.
nobody wants that smoke. Nobody wants a piece of the red. What are they? The red hair pirates?
yeah.
Yeah,
Red Dead
that
Pirates.
I
Imagine being that much of a presence that you can actually like use your stroke for good. Do you know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like that is just I love that scene.
The one with Robin, and she's like the prisoner, and then take her up, and it's like, what's it? So the idea is that Robin's held captive by the government.
She's
and
been
then,
like a fugitive since she was a little kid or something. Yeah,
fugitive should be executed on, like, I'm not sure, or imprisoned pretty on
but
site.
and it's not even her fault. It's like she kind of saw something she wasn't supposed to, but it wasn't her fault, right? Yeah.
Yeah, and the only way to get her back was for the crew to fight the entire government, which
literally the world government.
which would be technically the entire world. And it's just like, all right, they'll take that challenge, and it's like,
that was a cool scene.
good. Yeah, that's so sick. And
Is that the one where Luffy's like, Usopp, burn the flag?
Yeah.
And he shoots. He that's amazing about Usopp. He doesn't even hesitate. He
Just goes, got it, and then shoots that hole right in the middle of the world government flag.
yeah.
Yeah, that fucking scene is incredible.
Well, so in that scene, it's, he puts on the mask,
Yeah, he's Soga King. Yeah, that's
Soga
what he is.
King?
Sorry, yeah.
which is a funny a way to describe bravery, I guess, in a way.
Right, yeah, he's
'Cause
putting on the mask.
He's
yeah.
putting on a mask, just like inside he's crying. He's like,
Yeah.
he's still terrified. Like,
Yeah.
he's deathly terrified, but he
Yeah.
still does the thing. And it's
Yeah.
like, all right. So he kind of got his dream then and there.
Yeah.
There's many different times where he's achieved that. But yeah, no, that scene with Robin was great.
Yeah.
It was,
I love how they think, because they tell Luffy, they're like, this flag here is like the symbol of the entire
Yeah.
world, and then whatever, and Luffy just goes, good, now I know who my enemy is.
Yeah.
And you're like, fuck, that's so good, yeah.
That scene was brilliant. I also really liked what was the other fucking real good scene? It was, do you know when I think it was like, what is the samurai island called? That's like Wano or something.
yeah.
And then as they're leaving, oh, hang on, let's just pause this. Alrighty, well, we got to wrap this up as I got to move my car, and then I got to go and pick up a shelf from someone on Facebook Marketplace. So, Vasu, thank you for joining me. Social media links. What's your page?
Instagram, Cowboy Kid Comic. Yeah, Cowboy. I have a lot of shows in Auckland. You should come see it.
Yeah.
Yeah, if you're in Auckland. I mean, you can. No, I don't have shows elsewhere. But yeah, for Auckland.
Soon. You have shows soon. Okay, let's thank you for joining me, Vasu, and we'll
you.
see you next time, I'm sure.
We'll do.
Thank you for listening to Ruddle Me This. Don't forget to hit subscribe and leave me a review on your favorite podcast platform. You can find me on social media at Taylor Ruddle Comedy on all the major platforms. You can also join patreon.com/Taylor Ruddle Comedy for free, which gets you access to all sorts of extras and behind the scenes content, as well as allows you to communicate directly with me and let me know what you think of the show. Tune in again next Monday for another episode of Ruddle Me This, and until then, Ruddle her out.
This has been a Tape Deck Media production. Thank you for listening.
Hey Ruddlers, I joined a group of podcasters that we are calling the Trailer Alliance, a group of podcasters that share each other's trailers at the end of the episodes and generally support each other. So at the end of each episode for the next few weeks, I'm going to be playing a trailer of one of the members of the Trailer Alliance. And here's one of them now. I hope you like it.
What's up, everyone? This is JJ. Listen, I'm always wanting to try to engage with you all, but some of you are still so shy. Please don't be shy. I'm not going to bite. Hit me up on IG, Life Podcast _84. However, if you don't want to hit me on IG, you want to hit me through email, that's fine. You can hit me at This Is The Life Podcast 84 at gmail.com. Again, This Is The Life Podcast 84 at gmail.com. IG, Instagram, hit me, Life Podcast _84. Come on, y'all. Let's be live. Let's be active. Love.